The sisters of the convent, as well as a few of the locals, have grown accustomed to Sister Bertrille's unusual aerial activities. The Reverend Mother, with her somewhat more traditional ideas, still has a little difficulty dealing with all of it. Not just the flying, but Sister Bertrille's new youthful ideas, too. But mostly the flying. She's feeling dizzy and can't seem to keep her balance. Time to see Dr. Tapia.
Well, doctor, will I live?
I think so. You have an infection of the inner ear.
The inner ear?
Yes, that's why your sense of balance is affected.
Oddly, at least to me, he won't give her any antibiotics. He'll tell her it should clear up in a couple of days. But he does tell her to avoid flying.
You know about that?
About what?
That I fly.
No, it was just a wild guess.
You mean you can tell just by looking at me?
Well, I don't think it was a particularly brilliant deduction. Most people do these days, you know.
I think Dr. Tapia was talking about flying in an airplane, sister.
Is there any other way?
Sure, helicopters exist.
Well, if there is, it's probably classified information.
Like space capsules and ICBMs.
When I'm out here, I thought I'd pay a visit to Mother Superior Placido. I'm a little worried about her.
Why is that, Doctor?
The last time I saw her, she seemed tense, nervous. Do you know of any reason that could be causing that, Sister Jacqueline?
Well, things have been a bit up in the air around here lately.
Well, maybe it's about time they were brought down to earth again.
I believe you just did that, at least for a few days.
There you are. Get them in the mail as soon as possible. What is it, Sister Anna?
Excuse me, Reverend Mother, but I believe you are supposed to keep the pen, and I get the letters.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Doctor.
Oh, that's all right. I was just looking at your fountain. That's quite an unusual ornament you have.
Oh, dear. Is she in it again?
Okay, that's going to require a quick explanation.
Sister Bertrille did dive into the fountain this morning.
On purpose?
Of course not. She was aiming at the balcony. I mean, it was an accident. How is Sister Bertrille?
I'm more concerned about you.
This is probably closer to his natural voice, but if you raise voice a little and take off mustache, you may recognize Crazy Cat from F Troop.
Is something bothering you, Reverend Mother?
Bothering me? Of course not.
Then why are you trying to sharpen your pen?
How silly of me. The pen sharpener is over there. The doctor isn't buying it. I'll let Sister Jacqueline take it from here.
Dr. Tapia's meeting with the Reverend Mother encouraged him to write to the Mother Provincial at the Mother House, expressing his concern and suggesting that the Reverend Mother needed professional help. And that's how Father Lundgren, along with his crisp new degree in psychology, happened to come to the convent Santanco.
Oh no, there's nothing worse than a new graduate. Let's see why.
Almost made it that time. I've been practicing for 3 days. I'm getting better all the time.
It must be very rewarding for you.
Yeah, well, it's better than walking into brick walls, Father. That hurts.
For starters, he has no idea what to do with a conversation like that. She gives him directions to the Reverend Mother's office. The Reverend Mother doesn't understand what he's doing here. He says, "I came to see you."
Dr. Tapia wrote the Mother Provincial and stated that you were suffering an anxiety reaction, probably motivated by a tension-filled schedule, which in turn has triggered heightened internal conflicts. And these conflicts have manifested themselves by a tendency to overreact to various life situations.
Dr. Tapia said all that?
Well, I've paraphrased it a bit.
What exactly did he say?
That you seem nervous.
This is why there's nothing worse than a new graduate. You walk out of school with that degree and you cannot speak English. It happened to me. I have a bachelor's degree in New Testament and a master's degree in Old Testament. By the time I finished my master's, scholarese was the only language I could speak. All of my English had been lost. Happily, a couple of incidents pounded that into my head and I realized what had happened. That was 1983. Since then, I've devoted my life to taking all the terrific stuff I learned in college and grad school and translating it into human language so we can all share it.
Dr. Tapia felt that you and I might establish new channels of communication by your verbalizing your problems, and that hopefully we would effect a satisfactory adjustment.
Please, Father. You mean he felt that I needed someone to talk to?
You could put it that way.
This is what you get when you let Gomez Adams get a degree. John Astin had already attained immortality as the aforementioned Gomez Adams, even though the Adams family only ran for 2 seasons. He had been a regular on the Phyllis Diller show, which only lasted 1 season and had recently been canceled. For a while, he seemed to have a knack for finding shows suitable for my TV Fails segment. Around 1977, he started doing cartoon voiceover work in addition to his one-off TV appearances. Then in 1984, he introduced the next role that would make him immortal, Buddy Ryan, Harry Anderson's crazy dad on Night Court. Even though he only appeared on the show 11 times, he's one of the things we all remember most about that show. He popularized the expression, "but I'm much better now," among others. As I write this, he's 91 and still doing voiceover work.
I suppose I'd better tell you. We have a novice at the convent who has the ability to fly.
She's a pilot.
Oh, no, she flies on her own. You know, like a pelican.
Naturally, she has to preen her feathers first. At least I suspect that's what's going through his head.
You have actually seen her fly?
Of course. It's not really her flying that concerns me.
No?
No. It's her landings. She's had 1 or 2 close calls already, and it's a matter of great concern to me.
He's seeing a major research paper right now.
Is there any particular time of day or night when you see this nun flying? I mean, do you see her only at certain times?
Yes, when the wind is gusty.
The wind is gusty.
Well, now that you know that the problem has nothing to do with the inner workings of my mind, I hope you're not disappointed, Father.
No, Reverend Mother, no. No, I'm not disappointed at all.
Never mind the research paper, he's seeing a book deal. He's explaining it to Sister Jacqueline.
Reverend Mother has a subconscious desire to be that flying nun. Up there in the sky, free as a bird, stripped of all the responsibilities and conflicts inherent in everyday life situations.
Well, that's a very astute observation, Father.
Thank you.
However, there's one thing wrong with it.
What's that?
We really do have a flying nun here.
Everyone he talks to says the same thing: Sister Bertrille flies. Forget research papers and book deals. If there's a Nobel Prize in psychology, he's got a lock on it. If there isn't, they'll make one just for him.
Although it's still too early to make positive diagnosis, perhaps we're dealing with a unique disorientation epidemic. The 3 members of the convent I've met thus far all seem to be suffering from symptoms of deranged personalities, and...
Reverend Mother has sent for him. She is not happy.
Father Lundgren, I understand that you believe I'm having hallucinations.
That's an oversimplification, Reverend Mother. As a psychologist...
Excuse me, Father, but you were invited here to put an end to this nonsense.
Reverend Mother, you wanted to see me?
There. Does that look like an hallucination?
He doesn't think you're having hallucinations. He thinks you're all having hallucinations.
Do you believe you fly?
Well, Father, once you've done it, it's not something you can forget.
When did you first believe you could fly?
When I first did, a flu, that is.
The Reverend Mother says, I can see you still don't believe that Sister Bertrille actually flies. Here again, he's a new grad. He don't know squat. He knows his books and maybe a clinical study or 2. He has no idea what it's like out there in the real world where anything can happen and you have to be prepared to throw the book out the window and deal with it. They'll have to show him, assuming the winds are strong enough and her inner ear is doing better.
Father, you are willing to watch the demonstration?
Oh, yes. It might be very therapeutic.
Therapeutic?
Well, sometimes acting out a fantasy.
Father Lundgren, this is no fantasy. Sister Bertrille, go put on your wings. I mean your cornet.
Unfortunately, not only are the winds not strong enough, Sister Bertrille's inner ear isn't as better as she thought it was.
Are you all right? Fine. I lost my balance.
She hasn't needed a running start before, so I'm not sure what that was all about. She can't generate enough motion to get the lift she needs, no matter what she tries. That looks like me on roller skates, except I don't need any help to fall into stuff. It comes naturally. He's more convinced than ever that the whole place is insane and these sisters need to be hospitalized. He's seen enough and he's ready to get out of there. They can't let that happen.
If he leaves now, we'll all end up in the funny farm. We have to find some way to keep him here until tomorrow.
And then what?
I don't know. I think I'll be able to fly then. My balance is getting better all the time. If only
She says, cancel the taxi. I'll drive him to the airport in our car. Maybe.
It started.
Turning the ignition will usually do that. Sister, please, I don't want to miss my plane.
Thanks.
What was that?
Sounded like a flat.
Yes, I know Moneybacker Nando bought the car and all that. You're expecting continuity out of a 60s sitcom. Think about that. Next, Reverend Mother will ask the father to stay over an extra day and say early mass for them.
I tried to refuse, but Reverend Mother was quite insistent, and knowing the state of her mental health, I didn't dare say no. No, maybe it's my imagination, but I have a strange feeling I'm being held prisoner here. No. Strike that last remark. I've seen many strange things today, but I can't possibly believe that...
Okay, maybe he's not imagining it. This calls for drastic measures.
Well, I'll say goodnight now, recorder. Time to get some sleep so I can be fresh and alert tomorrow morning. After all, I want to be bright and fresh to celebrate early mass.
What do you make of all that?
Who knows? He's the psychologist.
I'm getting out my pajamas now, recorder. Then it's bedtime.
Poor man, he must be terribly lonely.
It's possible Reverend Mother isn't the one who needs someone to talk to. He makes himself a rope out of his sheets and escapes during the night.
It's all come back. Sister Bertrille? Where are you, sister? I'm up here. I can fly again. Isn't that marvelous?
Oh, he's gone. Father Lundgren's flown the coop.
Flown the... Oh, a little pun there. I get it. He's already on a plane, so there's only one thing to do. As I mentioned in the first episode, the flying harness they gave Sally Field was a leftover that still had Mary Martin's name on it. It didn't fit properly, caused her a lot of pain, and if you watch these sequences closely, you'll see several things. First, this is not pleasant for her. In the close-up cut-ins, she does her best to smile, but it's obviously a struggle. In the wide shots, she spends more time fighting with the harness and trying to keep herself straight than she does mimicking actual flight. We saw her go backwards just then because of the way the crane was dragging her around. Oh yes, and stunt double? What's that? Nobody bothered to hire one for her. But the show must go on, so she's got a plane to catch.
You're not careful, you get writer's cramp, Father. I always intend to use the time on the plane catching up with my letter writing, but somehow I never get around to it.
Well, this isn't a letter, it's a report from a psychologist.
Well, I never would have guessed we'd be in the same line of work. I'm a psychiatrist.
At last, someone who will understand the situation he's been dealing with and can help him sort out the psychological causes behind it. His new friend has to get up for a moment, but he'll be right back, and Father Lundgren can't wait to tell him about it. The position of the camera in John Astin's head made it hard to see, but she said, "Now do you believe me?"
You were saying, Father?
Oh, nothing. Doctor, something I'd like to know.
Yes, what's that, Father?
If a psychologist became a patient of yours, would you give him a professional discount?
Discount nothing. When he's done analyzing you, he'll be a household name in the psychiatric community. Back at the convent, the doctor has some apologizing to do.
You're not angry with me because I wrote to the Mother Provincial, are you?
No, Doctor. I know you meant well. You wanted to see Sister Bertrille?
Oh, yes, I want to check that ear infection.
She says Sister Bertrille is back to normal, no lingering issues.
Hello, Miss Muffin. How are you today? Thank you, ma'am. Very well. I must be on my way. I'm on my way. Hello, pretty spotted puppy. How are you today?
That is normal?
For Sister Bertrille? Yes.
And now you know for sure her inner ear problem is cured. If it weren't, by now she'd have tumbled off the table and rolled around the room on the floor. Then the kids would have thought it was part of the song and started rolling around with her. And the room isn't big enough for that. Father Lundgren spent the rest of his days analyzing and diagnosing himself, and every time he did, he came up with a different disorder. Once the internet was developed, he made his mark when he took his methodology of find everything wrong and hope for the best and created WebMD. I'm Irving, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this, please click the like button to let me and YouTube know you want to see more. If you're not subscribed yet, punch me in the mask here and get signed up so you don't miss a thing, because something is always happening here at Irving Zoo. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Oddly, at least to me, he won't give her any... I can see you still don't believe that Sister Bertrille flies. They'll have to show him, assuming... Man, She says, cancel the taxi. I'll drive him... Taxi?